Hey,
What
don't
up?
be late to the party tonight.
Where at?
You know where it's at.
That moment marked the start of a wild turn for Lil Nas X. Within minutes, he was in cuffs and hauled off to jail. Now, shocking new footage has surfaced showing him behind bars, and let's just say, it's not looking good. Let me break it down. Lil Nas X gets locked up. The real story behind his first arrest. What up, fam? Let me tell y'all what really went down with Lil Nas X on them LA streets. August 21st rolled around and homie decided to take a stroll down Ventura Boulevard in Studio City at 5:50 in the morning. But here's the kicker, yo. Dude was practically butt naked, rocking nothing but white underwear and some cowboy boots. The LAPD got called about a nude man walking in the street, and when they showed up, things got real messy real quick. Now, before we dive into the street drama, let me paint the full picture for y'all. This wasn't just some random Tuesday morning episode. This was the culmination of some serious internal struggles that been building up for months. The whole scene unfolded like something straight out of a movie, except this was real life with real consequences. Witnesses on the street been describing the situation as surreal, with some folks initially thinking it was some kind of music video or publicity stunt until the police siren started wailing. Now check this. TMZ got their hands on some wild footage showing Montero out there singing, strutting, and repeatedly asking folks if they coming to the party.
Hey,
What
don't
up?
be late to the party tonight.
Where at?
You know where it's at.
The man was straight up wilding, placing a traffic cone on his head like it was some kind of crown or something. What made this even more bizarre was how he seemed completely detached from reality, like he was performing for an invisible audience while engaging with confused onlookers who didn't know whether to laugh, call for help, or just keep recording. The footage reveals layers of what was happening in his mind during those crucial moments. You could see him transitioning between different personalities. One moment he's confident and performative, the next he's frustrated and asking people to stop filming. There's this heartbreaking moment where he seems to recognize something's wrong but can't quite grasp what's happening to him. The video also shows how some passersby were genuinely concerned, trying to engage with him in a caring way, while others just stood there recording for their social media clout. But when police rolled up, instead of cooperating, reports say he charged right at the officers, which is when everything went sideways. Multiple witnesses described the scene as chaotic, with Montero appearing to be in a state where he couldn't distinguish between friend and threat. The officers who responded had to make split-second decisions about how to handle someone who was clearly in distress, but also potentially dangerous to himself and others.
Cause my money ain't. Let me get this straight. Wait, I'm the rookie, but my and my shows 10 times to pay 50K for a verse, no album out.
Hold up though, because this story gets even crazier. Police suspected a possible drug overdose, so before they could even book him properly, they had to rush him to the hospital for evaluation. The medical evaluation process took hours, with doctors running tests to determine what substances might be in his system and whether he was experiencing a medical emergency that required immediate intervention. Hospital staff had to balance treating him medically while also ensuring he remained in police custody for the charges. After getting checked out, they transported him straight to Valley Jail in Van Nuys. And yo, this was his first time ever seeing the inside of a cell. The transition from hospital to jail must have been jarring, going from medical care to the harsh reality of the correctional system. Sources close to the situation described his initial hours in custody as difficult, with him struggling to fully understand the severity of his legal situation while still dealing with whatever mental state led to the incident in the first place. The jail staff had to take special precautions given his celebrity status, keeping him separated from general population to prevent any incidents with other inmates who might recognize him. This isolation, while necessary for his safety, likely added to the stress of his first incarceration experience. The booking process alone took several hours, with multiple verification procedures to confirm his identity and ensure all paperwork was properly filed. The charges ain't no joke either, fam. On August 25th, prosecutors hit him with 4 felony counts, 3 counts of battery with injury on a police officer, and 1 count of resisting an executive officer. If convicted on all charges, this cat could be looking at up to 5 years in state prison. That's some serious time for what started as a morning walk in his drawers. Each battery charge carries its own weight in California's legal system. We're talking about potential 3-year sentences per count, plus up to $10,000 in fines for each charge. The prosecutors weren't playing games when they upgraded from the initial misdemeanor obstruction charge. They looked at the evidence, saw multiple officers got injured, and decided to throw the book at him. Legal experts been saying this kind of charge escalation usually happens when there's clear video evidence of the incidents, or when officers sustain documented injuries requiring requiring medical attention. The resisting an executive officer charge is equally serious, adding another potential 3 years to any sentence. This ain't your typical resisting arrest situation. This charge specifically applies when someone uses force or violence against law enforcement. The legal definition requires proof that the defendant knew the person was a police officer and willfully resisted or delayed them in their duties. Given that Montero allegedly charged at uniformed officers in broad daylight, prosecutors probably feeling confident about making that case stick. Now the street's been buzzing about fans' reactions, and let me tell you, it's been a mixed bag. Many of his supporters on social media have been expressing concern for his well-being, posting prayers and calling for empathy. Some folks speculating he might be struggling with mental health issues, while others wondering if this whole thing was some elaborate publicity stunt for his upcoming album. But trust me, when you got felony charges and you posting $75,000 bail, ain't nobody playing games. Speaking of bail, when Montero appeared at Los Angeles Superior Court in Van Nuys, he pleaded not guilty to all charges. The judge set his bail at $75,000, way lower than the $300,000 prosecutors wanted. His attorney, Christy O'Connor, been denying all claims about illegal drug use, calling the whole incident an aberration. Even his pops, Robert Stafford, came out swinging, saying his son was remorseful and in good spirits, asking folks to show some grace and mercy. But yo, before all this madness, there was some other footage that surfaced. Surveillance cameras at the Short Stories Hotel in Hollywood caught him wandering around their courtyard and lobby around 1:30 in the afternoon on August 20th, about 15 hours before his arrest. In that footage, he was fully dressed, just fanning himself, drinking water, and removing his shirt before bouncing. Dude wasn't even a registered guest at the hotel, which just adds to the mystery of what was going through his head during those hours leading up to the arrest. Now, let's talk about his legal history real quick, because up until this point, Montero been pretty clean when it comes to criminal charges. This August 2025 incident marks the first time he's been caught on the wrong side of the law in a criminal context. Back in 2021, he did get caught up in some civil court drama with Nike over them Satan shoes. You know, the ones with the drop of human blood in the sole that had only 666 pairs made. Nike sued MSCHF for trademark infringement, but Lil Nas X wasn't directly named as a defendant, and that whole situation got settled without any criminal charges. The man even tweeted back then about potentially going to jail over the Nike situation, but that was just him being dramatic for the gram. No real jail time was ever on the table for that trademark beef. So yeah, this Valley jail stint from August 21st to 25th was his first real taste of being locked up. And from what we hearing, it ain't something he's trying to repeat anytime soon. What's really got people talking though is how this all connects to his recent struggles. Insiders been telling outlets that his career challenges might have contributed to his distress. Recent projects like J. Christ didn't hit the same commercial heights as his earlier bangers, and some folks saying the pressure of trying to recreate that Old Town Road magic been weighing heavy on him. Lil Nas X's most controversial moments, from Satan shoes to Jesus Christ. Yo, if you thought that arrest was wild, wait till you hear about all the times Montero had the whole world pressed over his artistic choices. This cat been stirring up controversy since day one, and I'm about to break down every single moment that had people clutching their pearls and sliding in his mentions. What makes these controversies so fascinating is how they reveal the deeper cultural tensions around race, sexuality, and religion in America, and how one artist managed to weaponize outrage into chart domination. The pattern started early, and it's been consistent. Lil Nas X dropped something provocative, conservative America loses their minds. He doubles down with even bolder statements, and somehow his streaming numbers go through the roof. It's like he cracked the code on how to turn moral panic into mainstream success. But the cost of that strategy is becoming clearer with each passing controversy. Let me walk you through the greatest hits of his career-defining moments that had everyone from governors to gospel singers calling for boycotts. Let's start with the big one that really put him on the map as a provocateur, that Montero, Call Me By Your Name, music video from 2021. Fam, when I tell you this joint had conservative America losing their absolute minds, I ain't exaggerating. Homie literally slid down a stripper pole straight to hell, gave Satan himself a lap dance, and then had the audacity to kill the devil and take his horns. The imagery was so bold, so unapologetically queer, that it became a cultural moment whether you loved it or hated it. What made this video even more powerful was the intentional biblical references throughout. The Garden of Eden opening, the Tree of Knowledge, the serpent. Montero was directly engaging with Christian iconography and flipping it to center a queer black narrative. The courtroom scene where he's being judged wasn't just artistic flair, it was commentary on how society judges queer people, particularly queer people of color. When he transforms into the devil at the end and kills his oppressor, it's a metaphor for rejecting the internalized shame that religious trauma can create. But wait, it gets better. At the same exact time this video dropped, Lil Nas X partnered with art collective MSCHF to release them infamous Satan shoes, modified Nike Air Max 97S featuring a pentagram an inverted cross, and get this, a literal drop of human blood in the sole. They only made 666 pairs at $1,018 each. And yo, they sold out faster than concert tickets to a Drake show. The price point wasn't random either. 1018 references Luke 10:18, the Bible verse about Satan falling from heaven like lightning. The marketing genius behind these shoes was next level. MSCHF, known for their viral art stunts, understood exactly how to amplify the controversy. They released detailed photos showing the blood extraction process, the pentagram placement, and even included a Nike authentication tag to make it look official. When Nike inevitably sued, that just generated more headlines and made the shoes even more valuable to collectors who managed to snag a pair. The backlash was immediate and vicious. Conservative commentator Candace Owens went all the way off, accusing him of contributing to black oppression and moral degradation. Former Marine Matthew Betley called the video depraved, and even South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem felt the need to hop on Twitter to criticize them shoes. But Montero, man, clapped back with the quickness, telling the governor, "Or a whole governor and you on here tweeting about some damn shoes. Do our job." The genius part about his response, though, was how he turned that whole controversy into a marketing masterclass. He posted a fake apology video on YouTube that cut straight to the lap dance scene.
I also didn't mean to mock. This wasn't like a you people, to the Christians, it was not that. It was literally me saying, "Oh, I'm back like Jesus." That was the whole thing.
However, when Joyner Lucas tried to call him out saying the video was inappropriate for children, Montero hit back with facts. "I literally sing about adultery in Old Town Road. You decided to let your child listen. Blame yourself." The numbers don't lie either. That controversy pushed Montero straight to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, racked up over 110 million YouTube views and 105 million Spotify streams. Nike had to file a whole trademark infringement lawsuit against MSCHF, which got settled in April 2021, but the damage was already done. Lil Nas X had officially established himself as the master of turning outrage into chart success. Fast forward to January 2024, and homie decided to switch up his whole aesthetic with J. Christ. And boy, did he catch heat for this one too. The single came complete with artwork depicting him as Jesus on the cross, and he dedicated it to the man who had the greatest comeback of all time. The music video was a whole biblical production featuring Noah's Ark, a basketball game with the devil, and quotes from 2 Corinthians about rebirth. This pivot from Satan to Savior wasn't just random artistic evolution. It was a calculated move that showed Montero's understanding of cultural cycles. After years of being branded as demonic and anti-Christian, he flipped the script and claimed the ultimate Christian figure as inspiration. The video's production value was off the charts, with elaborate sets recreating biblical scenes alongside modern references like Windows XP wallpaper and Bring It On cheerleading sequences. The casting choices were also deliberate statements about inclusion. Tease Madison, the first black transgender woman to star and produce her own reality series, played a prominent role, emphasizing the video's message about accepting marginalized communities. The basketball game against the devil served as a metaphor for overcoming temptation and personal demons, while the Noah's Ark sequence suggested themes of survival and renewal after catastrophe. But the part that really had Christians up in arms was when he posted a TikTok eating communion bread and drinking wine while dressed as Jesus. Plus, he dropped a fake acceptance letter from Liberty University as part of his whole Christian-era marketing campaign. The communion TikTok was particularly inflammatory because it directly mimicked sacred Christian rituals, crossing a line from artistic interpretation into what many viewed as mockery of their most sacred practices. The Liberty University stunt was pure social media genius, though. He created an authentic-looking acceptance letter, complete with official letterhead and signatures, announcing his enrollment at the famously conservative Christian university. The post went viral within hours, with thousands of people believing it was real before the university had to issue a statement clarifying they had no record of his application. This kind of elaborate hoax showed Montero's deep understanding of how information spreads online and how to manipulate news cycles. The backlash came swift and heavy. Twitch streamer Kai Cenat went on a whole rant saying, "God gonna handle you, bro. He's disrespecting the whole culture," while Andrew Tate called him weird. Christian TikTok users launched coordinated campaigns urging him to abandon religious aesthetics, with some creating response videos that garnered millions of views. The controversy reached beyond social media when religious leaders started addressing it in sermons, calling for boycotts of his music and condemning what they saw as blasphemy disguised as art. This time, though, the pressure got to him a bit. Lil Nas X actually apologized on Instagram, admitting the communion TikTok went overboard, and clarifying he wasn't trying to mock Jesus. He explained that Jesus' image is used throughout history and people's art all over the world, but the damage to his relationship with some fans was already done.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to not necessarily apologize, but I wanted to explain. I'm not the first person to dress up as Jesus. I'm not the first rapper. I'm not the first artist, and I won't be the last. And I know, like, given my history with, you know, the Call Me By Your Name video, anything that I do related to religion can be seen as like mockery. That just was not the case with this. And I will say though, with the communion video, with me eating the crackers and juice, I thought that video was gonna be the video to lighten the mood, to take it down like less serious or whatnot. I thought that was something that we all wanted to do as kids or whatnot, but I didn't understand the idea of, you know, the reality of what it is. You know, it's me eating the communion, which is like the symbolism of like Jesus's blood and bones or something like that.
After much talks, he added,
but I do apologize for that. I will say I am sorry for that. That was overboard. Though I don't agree with all of Christianity's rules or whatnot.
Then we got the trans community situation from March 2023 that showed even progressive supporters got limits. Montero posted a now deleted tweet with a photo that looked like him, captioned, "The surgery was a success," implying a gender transition as a joke. This came at a time when anti-trans legislation was ramping up nationwide, and trans folks weren't having it. Trans activist Edge Slayer called for a meaningful apology, suggesting he donate to trans causes, but instead of taking the high road, Lil Nas X told her to eat his ass, which led to death threats against her. He eventually apologized to the trans community. But this controversy brought up older allegations about his pre-fame Twitter behavior, where he allegedly posted offensive content under handles like Nasminaj and The Lil Kim News. Rapper Boozy Badass straight up tweeted that Lil Nas X should commit suicide in 2021, spouting hateful rhetoric about his sexuality before deleting the tweet. Even BET, the network that should have been supporting him, asked if he was a Satanist or devil worshiper after his 2021 BET Awards performance, straining their relationship. But here's what's interesting about all these controversies. They show a pattern. Every time Montero drops something provocative, the outrage machine fires up. He responds with even more boldness, and somehow his music ends up charting higher. Critics been saying he relies too much on shock value, with some ex-users memeing about how he can't sell his music without manufacturing controversy. The man himself acknowledged this dynamic during his 2021 Grammy comments, saying, "I hope my haters are sad. I want your tears to fill my Grammy cup." PR experts have praised his intentional controversy as a branding strategy, but it's also created this cycle where every new release gets judged, not just on its musical merit, but on how outrageous the accompanying visuals are. What makes Montero different from other provocative artists is his internet-native understanding of viral culture. Dude was running meme accounts before he was famous, so he knows exactly which buttons to push and when to push them. But as we've seen with some of his recent releases not hitting the same commercial heights, there's a question of whether this approach has a shelf life. From Old Town Road to career crossroads, Montero's rise, identity, and recent struggles. All right, fam, let's dive deep into the whole Lil Nas X story. From that kid tweeting memes in Lithia Springs, Georgia, to becoming the most polarizing figure in hip-hop. Born Montero Lamar Hill on April 9th, 1999, this cat grew up in a musical household with his father being a gospel singer and his mother having music background. But before all the Grammy wins and controversy, he was just another teenager heavy on social media. The pre-fame Montero was something else entirely. Dude was what they call a tweet farmer and hardcore Nicki Minaj stan, running accounts under handles like Nasmiraj. He was attending University of West Georgia studying computer science, but dropped out after a year to chase his music dreams, working jobs at Zaxby's and Six Flags Over Georgia to pay the bills. Then December 2018 hit and changed everything. Old Town Road wasn't just a song, it was a cultural earthquake that nobody saw coming. This country trap hybrid that challenged every single industry norm started gaining traction on TikTok, and before anyone could blink, it was sitting at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for a record-breaking 19 weeks straight. The Billy Ray Cyrus remix just amplified the madness, earning diamond certification, that's 17 times platinum, fam, and bagging 2 Grammys in 2020. But let's talk about what made this breakthrough even more significant. Lil Nas X came out as gay in June 2019, right during Pride Month, via a tweet referencing his song C7 Ojura from the 7 EP. In a BBC Breakfast interview, he opened up about understanding the challenges of being openly gay in both country and rap music communities. This wasn't just some casual announcement. Homie became the first openly gay black rapper to achieve mainstream success at this level. The personal journey to that moment wasn't easy though. As a teenager, he used to pray that his sexuality was just a phase, struggling with acceptance until around age 16. 16 or 17. He's credited artists like Frank Ocean and Tyler, the Creator, for paving the way, allowing him to express his identity without fear. In January 2023, he even tweeted that he was a little bisexual, showing how his understanding of his own sexuality continues to evolve. His 2021 debut album Montero was where things got really interesting both musically and personally. The project peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and featured chart toppers like Montero, Call Me By Your Name, and Industry Baby with Jack Harlow. This album wasn't just music, it was a bold statement about fame, sexuality, and mental health that earned critical acclaim for its unapologetic queer narratives. Now, when it comes to his personal relationships, Montero keeps that part of his life pretty locked down. The only publicly confirmed relationship was with dancer Yai Ariza, who appeared in the That's What I Want music video in 2021. They even shared a high-profile kiss during his 2021 BET Awards performance, but he confirmed shortly after that they had broken up, calling it his most serious relationship to date. In a 2021 GQ interview, he talked about hitting pause on romantic pursuits to focus on his career, reflecting on the emotional weight of that breakup with Ariza. The documentary Long Live Montero from 2023 offered rare glimpses into his personal life, with him opening up about family relationships while still keeping romantic details private. His music references a relationship with a man in 2020, but he ain't disclosed details about other partners. But here's where things get real. The career momentum that seemed unstoppable after Montero has hit some serious bumps. Critics and fans been noting that his recent singles like J. Christ and Late to the Party underperformed compared to his earlier hits. The J. Christ single debuted at number 69 on the Billboard Hot 100 but couldn't sustain any commercial momentum, which got people talking about whether his provocative imagery was starting to alienate audiences. Some industry observers been suggesting that his bold embrace of sexuality and controversial visuals may have impacted his mainstream appeal, particularly within certain segments of the Black community that might be less receptive to overtly queer and demonic aesthetics. Posts on social media have been speculating that his past as a weirdo on Stan Twitter and backlash to his sexuality contributed to this perceived decline. The pressure of following up Old Town Road's unprecedented success cannot be understated. When you got a song that breaks streaming records and dominates culture for nearly 5 months straight, every subsequent release gets measured against that impossible standard. The music industry's fast-paced nature and constant demand for viral moments creates this environment where even successful artists can feel like they're falling behind. His Long Live Montero tour from 2022 to 2023 was actually a theatrical success, showcasing his evolution as a performer with elaborate stage productions that brought his visual concepts to life. Critics praised these shows as defiantly queer showcases that proved his artistic growth beyond just viral moments. But translating that live energy into sustained chart success has proven challenging. Throughout his career, Montero accumulated impressive hardware: 2 Grammy Awards, 5 Billboard Music Awards, 5 MTV Video Music Awards, 2 BT Hip Hop Awards, 2 iHeartRadio Music Awards, and 2 American Music Awards. His innovative use of social media, provocative visuals, and genre-blending music established him as a trailblazer, particularly for Black queer artists in hip-hop and pop. But the recent challenges extend beyond just commercial performance. Reports suggest he's dealt with personal struggles, including the pressures of fame, his grandmother's death in 2018, and his mother's addiction issues. In February 2025, he shared a video reflecting on pretty difficult years, though he expressed renewed confidence in his music and creativity with the Dream Boy EP release in March 2025. The man even turned down a role in HBO's Euphoria to focus on music, showing his commitment to his primary craft. But as his recent arrest demonstrates, the pressure of maintaining relevance while staying true to his artistic vision might be taking a heavier toll than anyone realized. His upcoming full album and continued fan engagement suggest he ain't done yet, but the question remains whether he can navigate these challenges and return to those early career highs. Thanks, fam, for watching. To get more of such content, please click on the card showing on the screen.